Hello and welcome to Micro Live. Tonight we look at the increasing use of computer-controlled direct mail, which is now so effective in the United States that senators and congressmen have to spend vast sums of money on it to have any chance of being re-elected.
And hot off the drawing board, Micro Live shows exclusive clips from the very latest in computer animation. They were shown recently at the Monte Carlo Television Festival, where they created quite a stir.
Well, all of us get unsolicited mail through our letterbox, but in America, direct mail techniques successfully used in the commercial world are now being used in politics, as Freff reports from Washington.
Less involvement in federal, and yet the schools are in so much financial trouble, and we're seeing cutbacks.
We do have a problem, and I think part of it is we simply, as a nation, have to...
It's 8:30 in the morning on Capitol Hill, and Senator Paul Simon provides breakfast for a group of his constituents lobbying on behalf of handicapped children. But even in the American democracy, only a small fraction of voters can ever come face-to-face like this to influence their politicians. Paul Simon is the Democratic senator for Illinois, representing 11.5 million people. Unlike a British MP, who's lucky to have a single researcher, he has a staff of 50 to help him with day-to-day business. His suite of offices has a network of computer terminals linked to databases of all kinds, providing news, statistics, and the very latest state of any American law.
We get about 1,000 letters a day on every kind of a subject. And people ask me to vote against this or for that. And because of computers, we can go back then 3 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now and say, this is what happened on this bill. It passed, I voted this way. You can give them information that, frankly, without computers, to do it manually, you just couldn't do.
Every letter that comes in is scanned by a skilled researcher. The chances are that it can be answered using one of many hundreds of standard letters and paragraphs, which are constantly being updated by political aides. Once the letter is marked, it's passed to the word processor, where the paragraphs are bolted together and topped and tailed with salutations from the great man himself. The finished letters are then sent electronically to central laser printers and envelope stuffing and stamping machines to be posted at the taxpayer's expense. The result, personalized replies created by a slick production line process. And of course, the senator's signature is also put on by the computer.
That's something of the new practice of politics, but there's an old concern that's never far from a politician's mind, which is getting re-elected, which takes money, lots of it. With the exception of presidential races, there's no limit on campaign spending in America. More than one senator has put as much as $12 million into reaching office. That's not the kind of money you find in cookie jars. So to raise it, politicians are turning to a new group of power brokers, consultants with a simple idea. They're taking developments in computerized direct mail advertising and telemarketing schemes, originally designed for private industry, and are using them to reshape the American political landscape.
Direct mail in America is the third largest form of advertising, so it's advertising. We are in a form of a letter explaining the project, the cause, and asking people to send a contribution, to write to their congressmen or senators, make phone calls, and get involved in the political process and help pay for the advertising at the same time. In 1983, we mailed 83.5 million letters. In 1984, we mailed about 102 million letters. So over the years, we've raised a fair amount of money to support causes for lower taxes, strong national defense, from literally millions and millions of people.
But now it's not just begging letters which come into your home.
Yes, sir. My name is Bob Weir.
Howdy. I'm calling. First of all, I want to thank you for your past support. It really is important to the work that we do. And I do hope you're aware that it's only 4 months between now and the general election. And it's absolutely imperative that we do take back
This group is using cut-price, long-distance leased telephone lines to call ordinary Americans in their homes to ask them to pledge money. They could be working for any organization, but today it's for a group of Democratic senators up for re-election.
It's called our $1 Million Media Fund. And the object for us is quite simply to raise $1 million over the course of the next 30 days.
Their script allows for almost any kind of response, favorable or unfavorable. They can be very persuasive and very persistent. And the extraordinary thing is that most Americans don't hang up. They're flattered.
We're hoping, sir, that we could count on you tonight to make a $1,000 pledge to the Democratic campaign.
So we're calling all of our friends like yourself to see if it is possible for you to help us out with a $1,000 contribution. Right, $1,000. I know it's an awful lot of money, but it's...
Well, I realize that's a lot of money, sir, and most people can't contribute at that level. The reason we ask, quite simply, I hope you'll understand, is that we don't get gifts like that unless we do ask for them.
The Republicans are very well funded. They have a lot of very wealthy supporters. But this year we're determined that their money will...
The people they're ringing aren't being called up at random. They've been carefully selected as the people in a particular area most likely to donate and most likely to be sympathetic to the cause, given a bit of persuasion. So how do they find you? Well, the answer is a little sharp thinking and a lot of computer time. Just living, you leave a trail. You join organizations, you subscribe to magazines, you pay your bills. And at the other end of every one of those actions, there's someone keeping a list. This great heavy book is a directory of people advertising computerized mailing lists like this for rent. You can find almost anything in here. For example, just flipping through at random, we see mathematical specialists, upper management administrators by sex and income. That would be used for certain things. The Greater Chicagoland Area Catholics. And over here, your gateway to the affluent black market. Now, this is described as black families, professionals and business executives, including members and leaders of recognized black organizations. Now, clearly, this would be valuable to a political candidate. There are 115,000 names on the list, and all those people are available to you for only $65 per thousand. In the American private sector, there are no restrictions on how lists like these can be used. And these are just the companies that advertise. There are others with lists more sensitive, more carefully targeted, that are only available if you've got the right connections. That listing we found in the book for affluent blacks, how would a politician go about using that?
Well, for example, if you were a Republican and you wanted to bring those people into your organization, you would probably concentrate in rural areas in the South where affluent blacks would tend to be more Republican-oriented. Pretty well forget it in the big cities where they tend to be assimilated into the power structure that currently exists.
So what you do is you'd actually take a section of the list and compare it to some other list, perhaps?
The amazing thing about the computer technology is your ability to cross-reference lists, so that if you want to mail to a black person who is against gun control and in favor of abortion, you can find a list of those people, any combination of factors that you want.
We're hoping you might even pledge $250 to help us out in this campaign to regain control of the Senate for the Democrats.
So the people being rung today are known to be favorable to the Democratic cause. They're known to have donated to causes before, and their phone numbers will have been found from other publicly accessible computerized lists.
That would be terrific.
$20 would be fine.
Oh, it is very expensive. If you get back $3 for every $2 that you spend, it is regarded as very successful.
$250 is a lot of money. We do need your help with this $1 million media fund, sir. Would it perhaps even a gift of $100 be possible at this time? Oh, $100. That's wonderful, sir. We really appreciate your support.
Persistence pays off, but techniques like this are very controversial. Many think they're dangerous. But fundraisers like Richard Viguerie claim they widen democracy.
Now we have a situation where literally millions of people, unprecedented in world history, millions of people are giving $5, $10, $20 to their favorite candidate, their political cause, their political party, and you have, in a sense, opened up that back room, smoke-filled room, and put a lot of sunlight in it and let millions of people participate.
Congressional campaign spending is out of control. In the last campaign in 1984, on the average, winners spent $3 million. And on the average. And some spent $16 million or $12 million or $10 million. So raising money to run for office is becoming almost a full-time job, and it's diverting the attention of office holders away from their responsibilities. And it's making the ability to raise substantial amounts of money almost a prerequisite of office.
The more money is raised, the more it's being spent on sophisticated ways of influencing voters. In this technique, they find out your views and get them on computer.
May I please speak with John Peace? Mr. Peace, my name is Allison, and I'm calling for Senator Fritz Hollings. It would help Fritz do a better job if I could take just a minute to ask you your opinion on some issues facing South Carolina and the country. Would that be okay? Which two of the following problems should Senator Hollings try the hardest to solve? Federal budget deficit, tax reform, national defense.
A phone call like this enables the politicians and the special interest groups to know what concerns you. Then they can send you very closely targeted mail on quite specific issues.
What we're trying to do is discern information that we can mail voters and give them a candidate's particular views so that it's much better targeted. I mean, if you care about the environment, why should I be talking to you about the deficit? Or vice versa. And what I want to do is speak specifically to your concerns rather than generalize it. I mean, in American politics, TV tends to homogenize the messages. And what we're trying to do is become more specific, and the use of connecting a telephone to a computer to direct mail to the telephone, again, allows me to communicate in a two-way dialogue with a voter.
This is the kind of thing that might land on your front doormat. It's part of a gun control campaign and designed to get you to write to your congressman. A blunt mock-up of an advertisement exposes the activities of one congressman accused of being in the pay of the handgun lobby. The idea is that if enough people are persuaded to send this to him, he might change his mind.
To be effective in direct mail, you have to scream at people. I find inevitably the direct mail pieces we use, I have to tone them down. And the direct mail people are always unhappy when I tone them down because they say they're going to be less successful. Direct mail appeals tend to be extreme.
The use of direct mail enables a candidate to say different things to different people, depending on which list you're renting.
Let me put that in plain English. It gives them a chance to lie a little better.
It gives a chance to talk about one part of their record, one part of their policy to one group, and another part to another, and those two may be very much in conflict. Unlike television, in which you generally, that's a mass means of communication, you have to say the same thing to everybody.
Finally, there's the danger of the abuse or misuse of information stored on all those computer lists.
The laws are going to have to adjust to protect privacy for people, to make sure that government and people in the private sector don't invade our lives unnecessarily.
We might do well to heed that advice because computer-targeted direct mail is now increasingly used in this country. In fact, this letter from Norman Tebbit may have dropped on your doormat this very morning. You see, the most sophisticated user of the technique, the Conservative Party, are currently sending out no fewer than 1.6 million letters like this per month. By June, they aim to have sent out 11.5 million.
The Conservatives have devised their own lists of people who might give them campaign contributions or who might vote for them. They compile these lists by combining the 1981 census with other publicly available computer information lists. Most controversially, they've been using the British Telecom Register of Shareholders.
Well, British Telecom isn't very keen on this, as their shareholders have been complaining that BT has obviously sold the register to anyone who wants it. Well, actually, BT hasn't. The register is publicly available. But BT has now joined with other leading companies to demand a change in the law, and this would limit the uses which a register of shareholders could be put to by outsiders.
The SDP also uses direct mail, but can't afford the kind of research which the Conservatives can. As far as we can discover, the Labour Party doesn't use direct mail at all.
Of course, during a general election, there is, in any case, a legal limit of about £5,000 per constituency, which a party can use to promote a candidate. But there is, however, no limit to the amount of money which a party can use to promote itself for the rest of the time. Now, we've seen how very powerful these techniques have proved to be in the United States. So if the Tories are now using direct mail to that extent, maybe all political parties will soon be forced down that same road.